Good morning, all. Hope all of you are doing good in these slightly challenging times. Welcome to the CSI State Student Convention Kerala, hosted by St. Gates College of Engineering. Let's start the program with a silent prayer. Computer Society of India, a light body of computer professionals in India, has always been in the forefront of promoting technology. We all know the way digital life has transformed, and in the post-COVID era, we expect ourselves to adapt more to a digital environment. The theme of the convention is digital life, with an objective to provide a platform to the participants to share their views and ideas on latest technological developments in an inter and interdisciplinary perspective. We believe this state convention would act as a platform where young minds can open up, put forth their ideas, and showcase their skills. I would like to welcome Engineer Punus George, Executive Chairman of St. Kitts Group of Institutions, our chief guest, Professor Dr. Achut Shankar S. Nair from the Department of Computational Biology and Bioinformatics, Kerala University, Mr. Tony Thomas, CIO and Senior Advisor of Boston Consulting Group, Professor Dr. Joseph Kunyupolsi, Principal, St. Kitts College of Engineering, Dr. Jubilan J. Kirketotam, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Dr. Anshu Pradap, Head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering in her absentia, Dr. Rajesh K.S., Department of Computer Applications, Faculty Coordinators, Engineer Hari M., Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Engineer Preeta S., Department of Computer Applications, Ms. Anuba Ravindran, and student coordinators and volunteers to this program. Once again, welcome you all to this program. A state convention of this stature needs proper planning and execution. Dr. Jubilan J. Kirketotam, Professor, Department of Computer Science, has put in his best to make this a reality. I invite Dr. Jubilan J. Kirketotam for the welcome address.
Thank you, Anina. Yes, most respected President of the meeting, Mr. Engineer Punus George, Chief Guest, Mr. Tony Thomas, keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Achut Shankar S. Nair, faculty chairman, Alfie Biju Verghese, student chairman Alfie Biju Verghese, and all the dignitaries are present here. Welcome to one and all. It's one of the best events we expect to happen today as the CSI State Students Convention in St. Kitts College of Engineering. Being the host, we are privileged to welcome each and every participants who are present over here, which comes about 400 in number. It was a team effort by the various faculties as well as students all over the St. Kitts, especially the CSI members. I thankfully acknowledge all the efforts by the team St. Kitts CSI chapter to make this a grand success. I thankfully welcome our relevant chairman, Mr. Chairman, Engineer Punus George, who is the president of the meeting here, who is present here. He is a visionary and a famous educationalist who is actively behind the development of the college as well as the St. Kitts Group of Institutions. Welcome you, sir, to the program. Mr. Tony Thomas, our chief guest, is a CIO and senior advisor of the Boston Consulting Groups. Being a digital and IT leader of the global business across the sectors and geographies, both corporate and management consulting, he is considered as the apt person for being the chief guest of the program, being its theme, the digital life. Welcome, Tony Thomas, sir, to this program. We also sincerely welcome Dr. Achut Shankar S. Nair, who is the professor and head of computational biology department of University of Kerala, Karivattam. He is also an active participant as well as the chair of CSI, a Trivandrum chapter. Welcome you, sir, to the meeting. Behind this state convention Our dear principal was the real motive to the program. He is and was behind each and every activities conducted in St. Kitts and keenly observing and providing his ideas to make the program a grand success. Welcome our dear principal, Professor Dr. Kunyi Paul C. to this meeting, to this program. I also sincerely remember the great efforts by Dr. Anju Pradap, the HOD of Computer Science Department. She took the initiative for each and every program from the starting itself. Unfortunately, at her absentia, I'm standing on her podium to welcome you all. Welcome, ma'am. I also sincerely welcome Dr. Rajesh KS, who is the head of Department of MCA, who is connecting with CSI chapter along with the Computer Science Department to make this event a success. I also sincerely welcome all the faculties and students, CSI coordinators, student coordinators, and all the participants who are here at this moment. Welcome all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Engineer Punus George, Executive Chairman of St. Kitts Group of Institutions, has been the reckoning force behind all the major achievements and activities of the college. He has laid the foundation for what could be the biggest leap in the history of St. Kitts College of Engineering, from being an engineering college to a renewed institution of excellence. St. Kitts is on the way forward because of his vision and determination. Let me invite Engineer Punus George, Executive Chairman of St. Kitts Group of Institutions, for the presidential address.
Our chief guest, Mr. Tony Thomas, CIO of Boston Consulting Group, Professor Achyut Shankar S. Nair, our well-wisher of St. Kitts from its inception, who is now the professor at the Department of Computational Biology and Bioinformatics, University of Kerala. Principal, Dr. Joseph Kunjibol, Professor Jubilant and other faculty members, the chairman of the CSI Students Chapter, Alfie Biju Varghese, and my dear friends attending this conference. As you know, St. Kitts has always been in the forefront for promoting new knowledge initiatives for the benefit of the faculty and students. It is not only for the institutional faculty or students, but it is also in other venues wherever we can for the benefit of other institutions, faculty and students. Today, we are on the verge of a digital transformation, which the new pandemic has hastened the pace. When you look at the last 1 year, you will find that almost everyone has become the users of many digital facilities. Zoom and other conference has become common name. Even to the uninitiated in computer science or uninitiated people who are just even low earners, they find the necessity of having a laptop as well as a computer at home for the benefit of their children. And in many walks of life, we can see this digital transformation. Throughout the world, this is happening. And usually such changes percolate from the developed societies to developing societies like ours in a very slow pace. This year, this space has been accelerated. And there lies the importance of digital transformation in every activity of enterprise which our society is engaged in. The Computer Science Society of India is one of the foremost in bringing such information and activities to the benefit of its member students. And in St. Kitts, we have our computer science students of all the years, as well as our computer application students as its members. St. Kitts conducts many activities in the CSI chapter, and it is only just right to have the state convention now. So we are all happy that we are having such eminent personalities like Tony Thomas, as well as Professor Achyut Shankar S. Nair here to grace the occasion. I believe that the state conference will be beneficial to all of you. It will give a lot of information, as well as it will have a lot of activities. Seeing the registration till today and being the first digital event of CSI in a state level fora, we believe that this will be a success. On my personal behalf, I would like to congratulate the faculty as well as the leaders of the institution for taking this initiative. I wish all the best for the event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No program could be a success without proper planning and a visionary leadership. We were indeed privileged to have the guidance of Professor Dr. Joseph Kunyapol C., Principal, St. Kitts College of Engineering, and we are thankful for his untiring efforts and a flamboyant leadership. Let me invite Professor Dr. Joseph Kunyapol C. to address this meeting.
President of the function and respected Executive Chairman, St. Kitts Group of Institutions, Engineer Punyus George. Chief guest of the program, Sri Tony Thomas, CIO, Boston Consulting Group. Keynote speaker, Professor Achyut Shankar S. Nair, Professor, Kerala University. Head of Computer Science Department, Dr. Anju Pradap. Head of Computer Applications Department, Dr. Rajesh. Professor Computer Science, Jubilant, Dr. Jubilant. Student Chairman, CSI Chapter, Mr. Alfie Biju Varghese. Faculty members, students, and their participants. Ever since its formation in the year 1965, Computer Society of India has been serving as a guiding force for the IT industry of the nation. With more than 50 chapters at 500 branches, and again with more than 1 lakh members, ranging from educationalists, industrialists, students, this may be the largest professional body in our nation. In the recent years, we are witnessing a rapid change or development in the various streams of computer science, especially big data analysis, cloud computing, Internet of Things, all those areas. And now the developments as well as the beneficiaries of these streams of computer science are not limited to engineering field. The Indian society cannot think of going forward without the recent applications and developments that is going on in the computer field. Even the medical field is not cannot remain away from the developments. They are very much beneficiaries of the recent developments and advances that is going on in the computer science field. And the recent pandemic, we have witnessed that there has been a substantial decline in the industrial growth, economic recession, and again, individuals being confined to their place of dwelling, which has all led to a mental stress, increased mental stress on the part of the people. Had not we changed to the digital world, the situation would have further worsened. And this led to an over dependence on the applications of computer science. This may be the reason why, while most of the industries are going down, the IT industry remains more or less less affected. And even they have made use of the existing situation to their benefit by reducing the overall cost by introducing work from home, other things, etc. They have reduced the overall cost of functioning of the industry. And even if the pandemic situation changes due to the convenience of the various systems that we have adopted, maybe our chairman has mentioned, there's a hosting of meeting which is being done now itself. Earlier, for conducting such a meeting, the people has to arrive from distant locations and come together at a particular location and for the meeting. Now the people can attend the meeting and be participants of the meeting and be resource persons of the meeting, sitting at their own basis, which makes it more convenient. So that even the pandemic, again, we have changed the digital purchases, all the things we have done. So considering the advantage, even if the pandemic situation changes, moreover, we will be forced to adopt the changes that has been adopted during the pandemic situation, which will continue. So naturally, various research works will be going on in this field to make these systems more efficient as well as cost effective. Conventions like this will provide an opportunity to expose the beneficiaries, the students, as well as the practicing engineers, faculty members, to the recent developments and developments, research and developments that is going on in this arena. And even though that may be available in the net and publications, we'll get more exposed, acquainted with these things when we will be having one-to-one talk, interaction between the developers or the eminent personalities working in that field. In addition to that, overall men-to-men contact will be more beneficial, more effective than searching on the net and other things. So I hope the conventions like this state convention will provide a platform to expose the students, faculty members, and the members of the CSI chapter to the recent developments and advances that is going on in the field. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate the Computer Science Department as well as the MCA department of our college in organizing a state-out convention, and I wish the program more success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Joining us today is Mr. Tony Thomas, who is a Global Chief Information Officer, Senior Advisor at Boston Consulting Group. Previously, he was a CIO at Nissan Motor Corporation, the giant Japanese automaker. There, he was looking after the management of all information systems, cybersecurity, data and analytics, information technology for various Nissan brands, Datsun and Infiniti. He was leading Nissan's global digital transformation, digital skills enhancement, and driving information technology, systems, data management, and security for the future. Before this, he was working with GE as their global CIO. He also held the additional role as Chief Information Officer for GE South Asia. He served as a member of GE Global IT Council and GE India Leadership Council. It's my honor and privilege to welcome Mr. Tony Thomas for inaugurating the CSI State Student Convention and to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hanina. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for inviting me for this event. Really happy to be here. First and foremost, congratulations to St. Kitts for the autonomy status. It's something that I don't know if you read my articles, this is something that I've been a huge proponent for, because I really do believe that we really need to decouple very good institutions like St. Kitts from the shackles of the unionisms and the rest of the politics that we have around the university. So I think this is going to be a huge boost to the vision of the founders here as well as the leadership and the faculty here. So congratulations. At the end of the day, what we learn inside the classroom is just a part of what makes us successful. So, co-curricular, extracurricular activities, that are part of now that you're empowered to do, industry engagement, bringing faculty or even visiting talks from outside, etc. I think can only expand the horizons of the students. So once again, congratulations. Coming back to digital life, it's something that I've been working for many years in different formats and different companies that we've been working in. If I go back about 10, 15 years ago, when I was global head of digital bank at Citigroup back in the US, one of the most interesting and exciting things that I found was about Amazon. We all know Amazon today because a lot of us buy stuff from Amazon. But Amazon initially was purely an online book seller. So we had the Borders and the other bookstores that we have, Barnes and Nobles, etc. Like we would go there, we would sit there, have a cup of coffee, browse through books, we buy books and we come back. But then Amazon started this online book sales company. So we all, used Amazon to buy books, although a lot of people said that the real feel of going to a shop, touching the book, feeling the book, buying the book is never going to be replaced by an Amazon. Well, pundits were wrong. Amazon really became very successful in what they were doing in selling books. Then they realized that, hey, if we can sell books, we can sell other things as well. So Amazon said, oh, we are not going to sell just books anymore. You could buy anything from us. You could buy cups, you could buy saucers, you could buy, other things, right? You could buy your ski equipment, whatever you want. Again, it was a huge opening up of the e-commerce world as we know it. It helped a lot of people to start, again, purchasing things from the convenience of their home, especially imagine in the US, right? During winter, the last thing somebody wants to do is to put all the layers of coat and then go out and buy that what they need to buy. And this was becoming very convenient. Again, contrary to the public opinion, right? Or the expert opinion at that point of time. Eventually, Amazon realized that, hey, if we can sell our stuff, why can't we open up a marketplace and allow other people to sell their stuff through our portal, right? Or our platform. Again, as you can see today, if you go to Amazon Prime or you go to Amazon India, majority of the stuff that you buy, or almost all the stuff that you buy, are not really sold by Amazon. It is through third parties, right? But fulfilled by Amazon. They manage the supply chain aspect of it. Then Amazon realized that, we're doing all this very well. Now let me do something. Let me use the power of data and make the experience better. So every time you buy something, you see a lot of intelligent prompts. People like you looked at this, or people who looked at this product bought this, or people eventually, there are other products like this that you might like. So in a way, just like what the salesperson at the shop did in the very old days, and I come from a small town near Kottayam, near Pala. So when I come home for vacation in the old days, I would go with my grandfather to the local shops, and the local shop guys knows my grandfather very well because he goes there almost on a daily basis. So the shopkeeper exactly knows what my grandfather wants. My grandfather doesn't even have to tell him what he needed. So Amazon in a way was turning into that one-to-one connect that we were so much used to, using the power of digital, but translating that into a human connect. So what did they do? They did amazing data analysis, predictions, and then they started the push model, right? As we can see. Then Amazon, of course, realized that, hey, if we can do all this great from our platform, then we can have other people use your technology systems, right? And then start selling it. So that's kind of the journey of Amazon. And why am I talking about the journey of Amazon? Because Amazon is a very interesting story when we talk about digital life, because this is exactly what most of the companies are aspiring to do. Most of us are going to see. While I talked about only an e-commerce and a supply chain aspects, you will see very similar digital, brilliant hospitals, brilliant railroads, brilliant transportation, power, most of the things that we are used to, the industry that I worked last, Nissan, where we make cars, the cars are becoming an extension of a human being. So the digital life that we talk about is not just, something that you transact, but it's actually becoming an extension of who you are. And there's a term called digital twin that I'm sure most of you have heard in some form or the other. Digital twin is nothing but a digital replica of who we are. And how do we generate that? Based on interactions, based on the data that we capture. So if you go to a shop all the time and buy a certain object, we know that, we can create a digital twin of that particular individual, because we know by prediction, after a couple of days, the person might be coming to buy the same exact stuff, the same questions that they would ask, things like that. So digital life in that sense, could be anything and everything, right? But how is it happening? Like I said, data is probably what is driving a lot of this, right? You should have the ability to capture the data. And the principal talked about, the IoT, right? It's actually one of the most interesting and the important development, the connected machines, right? Connected everything, connected anything. From some of the numbers that I've seen as of today, there are about 50 billion plus machines that are connected that can capture data. Now you take this data, you analyze the data, you process the data, and then you push it to, whatever insights that you would want to derive and drive through appropriate technologies, right? And then you control the machines. But in that sense, you're actually creating a mind for the machine that the machine can take it to the next level. So in short, what we are talking about is turning a very basic machine. When I did my engineering back at CET many years ago, we used to, go to the mechanical engineering labs, and we would see all these beautiful machines. It was very physically controlled machines. There was nothing electronic about any of those machines, right? A car had no electronic component in it, right? About 30 years ago, it was purely physical machine. But today's car is more or less a computer that is running on 4 wheels. You probably could run a car without any mechanical parts, right? The moving parts of a car has come down exponentially from the past. So you're moving to a world where anything and everything you do, this webinar that we are going through, most of the classes you would have had in the last few months, right? It's all happening through online. So we need to really turn the world into two angles, right? One, machines turning more or less into, or like humans, where we have to build the empathy aspect of it. Again, I go back to what our principal just talked about, whereby, computer science is not a field dominated by people who study computer science, right? In today's world, computer science is in every business. At GE, our slogan was every employee at GE, which was over 250,000 employees across the globe, is a software programmer, right? You could be a person who is tightening the bolt inside a factory for an aircraft engine, but at the end of the day, our assumption was that that person has to become a software professional at some point of time in his or her career, so that they can drive and leverage the power out of what we have. When we come back into the society angle, I was part of a lot of the government activities that are going on in Kerala, and one of the things that we did almost about 6 years ago was create an IT policy framework for the government of Kerala. And in there, we talked about what does it mean to be in Kerala in the 2020s, right? So first and foremost, we said, there is going to be a digital citizen, right? The digital citizenship that we can drive. So all the e-governance aspects, the efficiencies that you would gain, the birth certificate, the death certificate, things that you would normally go to an office. How do you translate that into electronic, digital mechanisms and drive that? Then you come back into the digital lifestyle. So here, what you do is that, I have, we all go through our various stages in life, but from a government perspective, there are levels of interventions that they do, right? For example, a child, less than 2 years might have to take a few vaccines, right? How do you monitor that the vaccines have been taken? How do you make sure that the right vaccines have been taken? How do you make sure that 5 years from then on, if some other disease happens, what vaccine you took at what point, right? So you can actually start intercorrelating, all these aspects about human lives back into what the government could be doing and can be doing. And then last but not the least, we talked about the digital commerce angle of it, right? We all, in reality, a lot of us, when we talk about digital, we all normally tend to talk about the commerce angle. But in reality, commerce angle is just one angle of it. Everything that we do in today's world, more or less, is digital. It's just like, in the Stone Age, as much as stone was important for a human being, in today's world, computer and data management is becoming part of our survival toolkit, right? If you don't manage data, if you don't know how to use data, if you don't know how to analyze data, then we are actually going back into very basics. But in reality, it's not just about computer science, right? To analyze data, to understand data, first and foremost, we need to understand the businesses, or understand the core processes that we are talking about, right? The ability to synthesize data, the ability to take the data and then drive it to the next level. Now, this is all driven by many enhancements and advancements in ICT field. So IoT is like I said, is one of the biggest and the most impactful innovation of our lifetime. Literally, again, when if you guys have, I'm sure, those of you who study engineering would have been to the mechanical lab, or, some of the other, civil engineering labs, etc., which is not directly related to computer science, where you would have seen all these machine controls, physical control, right? The switches, the gears, etc., right? But in today's world, you don't need any of that, right? You're controlling machines completely without, any physical intervention, right? You're capturing data, you're controlling machines, you're driving, insights and outcomes, auto correction, adaptation, right? All this is happening today. In a big storm is, hitting Kerala, and I hope you're all staying safe, and everyone, of yours is also safe. But that modeling of the storm itself is done through, capturing specific information through sensors, right, at various points in its path, and then translating back that into the newer models, and then you can predict, how the storm is going through. But it's all done in a very sustainable model, right? It's not the old days when, we would destroy the environment, we would destroy what we have to create something net new. Yes, waste is a part of everything that we create, but how do we manage that? Coming back into healthcare, the whole things about genome, right? Even in this pandemic, we talk about a vaccine being created in 6 to 7 months, right? When it's normally about 5 to 7 years. How is that happening? It's all happening because of the advancements in the technology side of it, advancements in the ability to model things, right? Physically, before you touch something, before you even go into a guinea pig, you can actually start modeling how a drug could interact, interface, react in certain scenarios. Big data analytics is something that you all hear about, right? The veracity, the velocity, the volumes, all the big V's of data that we could never imagine. How do you manage? When I was a CIO at Vodafone, we used to have almost 12 billion plus call records a day, plus other few 10 billions of internet browsing that we would have, right? What do you do with that data? How do you manage that data? You cannot manage that data in the real world as you know it. Then you talk about 5G, which actually gives you the ability to transmit, translate, and push the data to the edges, to the cloud, however you want it, right? Again, cloud computing is something that you would have all heard about, but spatial computing is something that you would all hear about very soon if you haven't heard about already. To draw an analogy, if cloud computing is 2D, spatial computing is 3G and beyond, right? 3D and beyond, right? So it's actually, you can actually think, things moving in, many different, spatial web versus, a two-dimensional web as we had known in the past. Quantum computing is another big area where the compute power, all the things that I talked about, brings up amazing powers back to us as human beings to drive and take it forward. A lot of this you would study in college, but a lot of this you would study outside, as individuals, because you're interested in it or part of your job. But all this also brings up a lot of threat. So cybersecurity in this regard, phishing, all the scams that are associated. Even yesterday, I got a phishing email from somebody saying, hey, I am Mrs. Arafat. I have $13.5 million that I just want to give to somebody, and I think you are the right person, so let me give you that money, right? Now, absolutely, I know that there is no Mrs. Arafat who is waiting for me to take her $13.5 million, right? But
you know, people could fall into those kind of traps, because all these technology advancements at the end of the day can also create a level of threat to all of us. So how do we manage that? Autonomous vehicles, right? Or airplanes that fly by itself. Now somebody can hijack those vehicles, right? In the old days, you know what, to hijack an airplane, terrorists had to get inside the airplane and then take control of the physical airplane. In today's world, you can sit anywhere in the world because airplanes are connected, and then, you know, start taking control of an airplane. Cars can be controlled, right? From anybody, from anywhere. So if somebody hacks into our cars today can be controlled, are controlled by the computers that are inside and the sensors that are inside the car. So somebody can take that over. So how do we prevent that from happening? One car being taken over or stolen by somebody is just one small incident, but thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of vehicles hijacked by a group of people, right, becomes a national security threat, right? A threat to the safety and the well-being of people. So how do you manage all this? So in short, the environment, the digital life environment, as we talk about, right, the digital twin, right, the machines have a digital twin that more or less are turning into humans. Humans have a digital twin that are more or less becoming like machines, right? And the intersection of that, and that intersection is not managed by physical machines or thinking like machines. And what makes machines operate in new world is the empathy, right? How we think, how the machine, how can we make the machines, artificial intelligence, right? Machine learning. When machines learn, if there is no empathy in the machine, you know, it will become like the all science fiction movies, right? Where machines, you know, turn around and, you know, become the crazy guys out there, right? So every time your car is doing something, your car is auto braking, it is making a decision. So how do you make sure that, you know, it is happening? I can keep on talking about these kind of developments for hours and hours because it's something that I really enjoy. But I know that we have a time limit. But all I want to tell you is that, you know, this topic, as you are embarking, as you're going to talk in the next you know, a few hours, few days, etc., is probably the most interesting, exciting, and the most impactful topic of the day, right? And today's world, like the principals talked about earlier, if this pandemic had happened 20 years ago, how we would have handled would have been a tremendously different way, and probably we would have been major disasters, right? Because we would not be able to control and manage like the way. Even today, while the economy is having an impact, while the global supply chain is disrupted, we're still able to manage that to a point because we know that we are, you know, living more or less a digital life. So thank you again for having me here. Wishing you all a very good success for the rest of the event, and I'm sure we will talk again sometime soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for giving us some insights on how to reimagine, to bring up the digital transformation and the potential benefit of what this transformation can actually offer. Thank you so much, sir. So joining us now is Professor Dr. Achyutshankar S. Nair, who heads the Department of Computational Biology and Bioinformatics at the University of Kerala. He holds his BTech from College of Engineering, Trivandrum, MTech from IIT Bombay, MPhil from University of Cambridge, and PhD in Engineering and PhD in Music, both from University of Kerala. Previously, he has taught in various engineering colleges, universities, and institutes, both in India and abroad. He was visiting professor in University of Korea and served as director of the Center for Development of Imaging Technology, Government of Kerala. He has held various responsibilities in University of Kerala as member of Academic Council, Senate, Dean of Faculty of Technology, Director of Quality Assurance, Director of International Affairs, Director of Startup Centers, etc. He has a modest number of research publications and has guided more than 25 PhDs. He has authored over 250 technical articles and has a lot of awards like Young Scientist Award of Government of Kerala, Cambridge Berkeley Scholarship, IST National Award for Young Engineering Teachers, Indian National Science Academy Teacher Award of 2014, and YK Maulavi Award for Social Service. It's my honor and privilege to welcome Professor Dr. Achyutshankar S. Nair for the keynote address.
Very good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Audible, sir. Good morning.
I must first of all say that there must be some disturbance. I am standing outside and the election, propaganda is in full swing. So pardon me if you also hear some election slogans. CSI student chairman, Mr. Albi, the principal and the manager of the St. Kitts College, as has been mentioned, which I have frequently visited and am associated with for a long time. My fellow speakers, dear students, fellow teachers. So I'm very happy to address this CSI Kerala Student Convention. It so happens that last month I was elected as the chairman of the CSI Trivandrum chapter, one of the oldest chapters in the country, started in 1976. I'm very happy that the CSI student activities are led by St. Kitts College, and this convention is taking place in St. Kitts College. The meaning of having student organizations, professional organizations, is something that I greatly appreciate because I am a beneficiary of it. I was an introvert of first rank, and I think I came out of my shell and realized my inner strengths through an organization called IEEE. At that time in Trivandrum Engineering College, we had a IEEE student branch. I must say that I owe my personality to the student branch. Even with the Computer Society of India, which I have been a member for 30 years now, more than 30 years. I must say I have benefited greatly. I remember making a presentation as a young lecturer, making a presentation in a CSI conference in Trivandrum in 1989. If you ask me, one of the most motivating moments of my life, I would say it was that conference in which a IT professional called R.P. Lalaji, who started a company in Technopark called Seaview Support Systems. He was attending the conference. When I presented my paper, he made some remarks on it, very appreciative remarks on it. As a young person, it was a very great motivation for me. I think Professor Lalaji is no more, but I think his words still ring in my ear and continue to be great motivation for me, even at this fag end of my career. So I'm very happy that St. Kitts College gives importance to CSI student chapter and is taking forward its activities very well. The theme I understand that the convention is discussing is digital life. Nothing more could be appropriate. It's actually a all-encompassing theme. Anything can be brought under it. So of late, the CSI Trivandrum chapter is into taking up one very important aspect of the digital world, machine learning. And the chapter is joining the government of Kerala to train school students in 9th and 10th standards to train them in machine learning. We are specifically using this network called convolution neural network. In 2 days, we get them to give a quick first feel of it. And as has been mentioned by all the speakers here, the pandemic has forced us to get exposed to technological means of communication. And what I found was that not only that we can have communication, we can hold conferences and lectures and classes, but I found something very interesting, that most effective way of teaching programming is through the online mode. We can share the code, sample code which the teacher wants to teach in platforms such as Google Colab, and get students to share the screen. If they encounter a problem in running the program, we can ask them to share the screen. And the benefit of explaining the problem to that student is seen by everyone. And I find that it's a very new experience for me as a teacher to teach programming over the online platforms. So today we teach machine learning through Google Colab and Google Meet. I have some very interesting remarks to make based on my experience in computing for the last 30 years as to what is happening in this field as well. See, in 1980s, computer time was at premium. I used to get 1 hour of time a week to use the computer in the Kerala University. So I had to come to the university to use that facility using punched cards. Later, there are plenty of computers around in most of the colleges. You don't need to go anywhere to use it. And now your mobile phone itself is a supercomputer. Compared to the 1980s computer, it is a super computer. And certain other things also have happened. The cloud computing has brought in newer conveniences in learning programming. For example, we don't need to install anything in our computer to run a program. The Python programs can be run in a browser. Simply in any browser, you can run it in any device. The operating system of the device, whether something is installed, it doesn't matter at all. You can run your Python and TensorFlow codes using things like Jupyter Notebook, and you can see through your browser. When you type your code and you run it, the code is taken to the cloud. It is run there with the appropriate interpreter or runtime, and then the result comes to you. Your computer is not disturbed for installing something. This is a wonderful teaching environment, I would say. And finally, what observation I would like to make is that there is no more programming. Even though people say computer science students should study programming, I see that increasingly there is less programming and more of putting together function calls. Look at developing the cutting edge machine learning model. If you want to develop a machine learning model to recognize faces or to recognize, for example, Dashapushpams, you have to do almost no programming. You go to this platform called TensorFlow, Google's TensorFlow. You write certain function calls. You want to develop a neural network, you only say add convolution layer, add dense layer. You just, and within brackets, you give the parameters. And the model is designed. And then you put all your data into different folders as required and simply ask the model to fit this data. And it takes some time to fit it, but you have no hard work. You don't need to even attend to. When it finishes, you have the model ready. You can use it to predict. My experience as a teacher is that in 2 days, you can get a high school student to develop a machine learning model for recognizing faces or recognizing plants or recognizing handwritten digits. This being the case, I think the students of computer science today are very lucky that they can start focusing on problems rather than on the tools. The tools have become like or you can say plug and play, pick and place. That development of solutions have become fun rather than very great challenge. I believe that you can today make a machine learning solution for a problem, for any complicated problem, in a matter of few hours, provided you have the data. But data may not be forthcoming. You have to be very clever to collect data. The friends here who are listening to me, young people, they all may know an app called Face app. You put your photo into it and it will show you aged. Or you can also show it young. For people like me, we are already aged. So what we do is we put the photo and ask it to show how I looked like when I was young. So it shows a photo. and that we are able to check whether it is correct. In your case, you are not able to check whether it is correct. You will have to wait for years. But this face app was a clever ploy to collect data. The processing of making your face, morphing your face into young or old, could have been done in your computer or your digital device using a small code. But FaceApp took the photo to a server in Russia, did the transformation there and sent you back the photo. You were happy, you did not notice it at all. But what happened is, in a few days in which it went viral all over the world, 10 crores of images of people were collected by this particular server, 10 crores. Now imagine if you were asked to collect 10 crore photographs, practically how difficult it would be. You'll have to take a camera and go around and start shooting people, photographs. And you'll have to engage a large number of people to do that. Plus, it is very difficult to do because people don't permit you to photograph them easily. You'll have to explain to them, you'll have to request to them, and somebody may not agree. But FaceApp did not have any of these problems. It just got all the photographs free and in a matter of 3 or 4 days without much expenditure. So I would say, friends, today, if you have data, you can solve problems. So that is why you say data has become, earlier it was programming skill, programs and algorithms that mattered. Today, no. I think that we have one algorithm for all solutions. Earlier you had computers were wired up. When I studied computers, the first computer I studied was an analog computer. You had to wire up the computer for each problem. That means you have different hardware for different problems. Then later digital computer came. When digital computer came, it was the same hardware for different softwares. The computer is the same. Now we have a different situation. You have the same software for different problems. Only data changes, and the data is example data. That is why it is called machine learning. The famous author Yuval Harari mentions that earlier godmen ruled us. Then later the colonial rulers ruled us. Colonial people or royal people ruled us. Now we have our own representatives, democratically elected representatives ruling us. And please wait, in another 50 years, we will be ruled by algorithms. It is not a very bad idea. No, I'm not too afraid of this concept because I don't think I will live for 50 years. But it is actually a good idea. See, for example, the strike that is going on in Delhi, we don't know what are the facts and what are the interpretations. We really do not know. If a government takes a decision, it will definitely be those who support them politically will say it is correct, and those who oppose them will say it is bad. But in future, I think such problems will be given to a machine learning algorithm, machine learning model. And the model will say whether that rules about agriculture needs to be changed. If you change, what will be its effect, it can predict. So we don't need politicians to fight to say what will be the effect of this particular act. In one way, we are all learning with the data of history. We always say we must learn from history. So that principle is already known. You can learn from data. Friends, I am a teacher. As a teacher, my leading light is an educational philosopher called Jerome Bruner. His famous quote is, "Anything can be taught to anyone." I think it is one of the most wonderful quotes about teaching. Anything can be taught to anyone. Now, I don't want to go into that. This is not a teaching on a lecture on pedagogy, but I would like to say, today, we have a similar situation. Anything can be learned by a machine. Anything can be learned by a machine. All you have to do is give it examples. That is what machine learning is. In the inaugural speech, there were mentions made of dangers of these things. Digital life is full of dangers because our behavior is being recorded. We are just our data. Yuval Harari says, the computer may know about you more than you know about yourself. You can hear his lecture on the YouTube. Yuval Harari, many of you may know his famous books, Homo Deus and Homo Sapiens, and 21 ideas for the 21st century, all exceptional books which you must read. So you are understood more by the computer than by yourself. What more can we say? That is the world we are, that is what your digital life is. And we live in exciting times. These possibilities, which the issues which this raises, as well as the possibilities it brings up, this all makes the computer field very, very sought after and important. So the students who are listening to me must tap this opportunity. Of course, look at things critically about the issues that it might create, and try to adopt this new solution to problems which have not been attempted at. I would also like to call upon the students to understand that there is not much challenge in programming or algorithms or things of that sort, but it is more of understanding problems and looking at problems and trying to solve them. And these problems come from different domains. For example, like language, sociology, psychology, biology, medicine, microbiology. Mention has been made about COVID. Of course, what the speaker said is very true. If we did not have computers, we would not have made any progress in managing COVID so much. And the vaccines that come up and the drugs that are being investigated. I'm incidentally very happy to tell you my department also made a research, impactful research, which is now listed in the World Health Organization COVID literature. We used computers to see which molecules could be effective to arrest the COVID problem molecule. And ours is only computational study. You have to do a lot of biological study before it can be done. But what I'm trying to tell you is that from different areas, we are having applications. And many of these are doable applications, provided you understand the domains. So my final call on the students here is to keep your mind interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. Don't think that you are computer students and you will only study computers. Please open up your mind. Try to read and understand other disciplines, because that is what will make you unique. That is what will make you an effective problem solver. Because I believe that there is lesser and lesser to understand in computers. There is more and more to understand about problems. So please do that. I think I have already overshot the time allotted to me about 10 minutes. I congratulate the St. Kitts College for organizing this event, and all the teachers there for giving this much importance to the CSI activities. On behalf of the CSI Trivandrum chapter, I would like to wish all the students who are attending this convention all the best. And I once again congratulate the organizers. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for throwing lights on the role of data in the age of digital transformation. Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Alfie Biju Verghese has been instrumental in playing his part as a student chairman and has taken care of the nitty-gritties of this state convention. I welcome Mr. Alfie Biju Verghese, student chairman of CSI Students Branch, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning, one and all. Honorable dignitaries, distinguished guests, faculties, and participants. It gives me immense pleasure in proposing the vote of thanks for what has been a colorful inauguration ceremony. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Achyut Sankar S. Nair, Department of Computational Biology and Bioinformatics, University of Kerala, Karyavattam, for sparing his precious time and delivering the keynote address. Thank you, sir, for sharing your story where you understood your strengths, and story about the Face app was very interesting. Thank you, sir, for being with us. My sincere thanks to Mr. Tony Thomas, CIO, Senior Advisor, Boston Consulting Group, for inaugurating the student convention. We like the way you set the example of Amazon, giving us motivation for making more innovations in digital life. We are indeed honored by your presence. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Engineer Punnus George, Executive Chairman, St. Kitts Group of Institutions, for the presidential address. My thanks to our principal, Professor Dr. Joseph Kunyu Polsi, for his address. My special word of thanks to Dr. Anju Pratap, HOD of Computer Science and Engineering Department, St. Kitts College of Engineering, KS, HOD of MCA, St. Kitts College of Engineering, Ms. Anuba Ravindran, Student Branch Counselor, CSI, Engineer Hari M, Engineer Preeta S, and all the faculties who played the key roles in organizing this convention. only with a short period of time in hand. Thank you for your untiring efforts for making this a memorable one. Sincere thanks to my fellow student coordinators, Anne-Marie Thomas, Rishal KP, and Aaron Abraham Shibu for their kind cooperation and support. Finally, great thanks to all the participants from different institutions and regions who are gathered here online. Wishing you all to have a wonderful day with us. Once again, I thank all of you for joining us and glorifying this ceremony. Have a pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfie. So we have come to the end of the inaugural session now. We look forward to your continued support and coordination for the smooth conduct of the state convention. Hope this would act as a platform where you can open up, put forth your ideas, and showcase your skills. Now, let's all rise up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
To the kind attention of the participants, there is a change in the schedule of workshop on AI, machine learning and deep learning. The workshop is rescheduled to 2 p.m. today. The joining link and the necessary details are shared in your